What makes shooting a person because of their religion, let's say, any worse than shooting them because they annoy you? What makes it worse if some Nazi stabs me because I'm Jewish than if someone stabs me because of my political opinion? Violence is violence, suffering is suffering, and hate is hate. It doesn't matter if someone hates you for your religion or if you hate them because they hate you. Hate laws serve only a single purpose: making it easier to solve a current violence epidemic. So, for example, right now people hate Nazis. It's seen on some sides as okay to punch someone if they're a neo-Nazi. If this becomes an epidemic, it would be practical to have a hate law protecting neo-Nazis. And I can already hear the outcry of, "But Nazis are wrong!" Well, yeah, but this is not about right and wrong. I agree Nazi belief is wrong. And the valid threat, like the recent car attack in Charlottesville, should be condemned. But violence is the enemy, not any specific group of people. We need to recognize that we are not righteous. Not you, not me. I'm not righteous for having this perspective. If anything, I'm a cuck. I'll wear that proudly. Because the sense of righteousness is what allows us to be violent. All hate and violence is done by people who feel that they are righteous for whatever reason. And we all experience being hateful. We're human. We shouldn't repress our emotions. If we experience hate, for example, of Nazis, we should be able to take a step back and analyze ourselves. Be able to have the dialogue that, yeah, Nazis hurt and killed millions of people, and that's horrible. And we should prevent that from ever happening again. But hate is never an acceptable method of any goal. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Society now has merely traded the notion of genetic superiority for moral superiority. We have to regain the awareness, the self-awareness to admit that we are not superior. We have our opinions, and when we think they're right, the best we can do is live as if they are. We can't let terrorists win, and that's not because we're objectively right. No, we can't let terrorists win simply from a practical perspective, because we think we're right. But that doesn't mean we should deny them their right to exist. If someone is coming at you with a knife, shoot them. But the line to draw is between the statement, "You should die," and "Hey Billy, come help me kill this guy." We need to protect ourselves, that's priority one, but from there, we should try to understand these people, understand what turns someone into a terrorist, so that, in the future, we can work to prevent whatever pain and suffering takes away a person's empathy, such that they become capable of hurting others. Everyone deserves understanding. That's what empathy is. It isn't sympathy. It might lead to sympathy, but empathy is simply an understanding. It's the science of the other. A Nazi with a knife and a criminal record, yeah, perhaps that shouldn't exist. If someone has been arrested for violence in the past, maybe take away their right to have a weapon. But a Nazi with just opinions? Even the opinion that I should die has the right to exist. Protest their opinions. By all means, argue that their opinion is wrong and that I shouldn't die. But hate the opinion, not the person. That is the difference between debate and war. If you believe this is not something that can be debated, fine, go to war. I guess I'm a bit of a hippie. War is sometimes practical, but only when debate is not possible, and I don't think that's yet the case. And if discussion becomes impossible, well, honestly, I have no prediction on which side will be responsible for that. Remember, we are not righteous. Leave that to the religious extremists. What we need to be is a loud centrist movement, where the debates are our disagreements, not whether we should be allowed to disagree. I heard a great story once of how a German town dealt with a neo-Nazi march in their town. What they did was, every couple meters the Nazis marched, they would donate a set amount of money to a de-radicalization anti-extremist organization, essentially turning the neo-Nazi march into a march for centrism. They even had banners cheering them on. This was the most brilliant form of counter-protesting I've ever heard of. Don't like the movement? Then make their actions result in the funding of movements they oppose. And always be open to dialogue. Everyone is the victim in their own story. Hear their perspective and acknowledge their suffering. Even if they're wrong about the cause, the suffering and emotional pain is genuine. Someone can feel genuine emotional pain with no legitimate external cause. Just because something is only in our heads doesn't make the emotions any less real. But once we acknowledge the suffering, we can move to discussing the cause. Someone may have been traumatized by a consensual sexual encounter, leading them to believe that the encounter wasn't consensual. Someone might have been attacked by a member of a certain ethnicity, leading them to develop a phobia of all the people of that ethnicity. Acknowledge the suffering, and then discuss the inaccuracies in their constructed reality. And whatever you do, avoid using the block button, because that doesn't change reality. It only changes yours. And as our realities diverge from others, if we lack exposure to other people's realities, then when we do get exposed, our uncertainty anxiety will be unbearable, and our desperation will grow, and our tendency towards radical, drastic action and even violence will grow. In reality, the world hasn't gone to shit. The world was always like this. Throughout history, there has always been this much hate and suffering and pain and death, if not more. What's changed is our exposure. We're not really angry at the world, we're angry at the media. It's not the world that we can't bear, it's the sensationalism that makes us think that now is the end of the world, now is the apocalypse. Click on this right now, you won't believe what's happening. They forget to include the part that it's been happening up until now, and you've been fine. On your happiest day, a bunch of babies died. But throughout history, the world has only gotten better. But as long as we only look at the parts of the world that could be improved, our reality will only be the parts of the world that are shit. So join me and be a loud centrist who acknowledges that the world is shit and existence is suffering, but also that we have it pretty great, and being homeless now is way better than it was 200 years ago. But there's still work to be done, and we'll only get it done if we can work together.